She's at work at the moment as we speak, and she'll be with us in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And all of us know Sister Luciana very well, but there are always new people who join. So let me tell a bit briefly about her, that Sister Luciana was a social scientist, and it's been almost the last 45 years of life she's dedicated to the Brahma Kumaris. And she likes to investigate that how the empowerment of individual consciousness affects the group consciousness of individuals and community. As we speak, she's the national coordinator for the BKs in Brazil since 1979. And there are now more than 20 branches over there. And she's extensively traveled around the entire Latin America and gives talks and seminars on various topics like meditation, laws of spirituality. And she was involved in Brazil in those three major international projects which we had worldwide. The first one being the Million Minutes of Peace Appeal. The second one was Global Cooperation for a Better World. And third one was Sharing Our Values for a Better World. So Sister Luciana she always says that she enjoys speaking about values and sharing on values. So we can't find any other speaker better than her for values. And welcome Sister Luciana. Thank you so much. And the second one is Sister Juliana. The names rhyme quite a bit. She started her journey of Raj Yoga when she was about to graduate in journalism in 1993 at just the age of 20. And despite having this degree in journalism, she worked as an English teacher in language schools for almost 35 years. She spent some time in the Shakti Bhavan in London, which is one of our big campuses of the Brahma Kumaris, in 1995, before her first visit of various trips to our Indian campus, which we call Madhuban. And from 1996 onwards, she's been living and serving in different centers all over Brazil. She's been one of the service companions of our major coordinators there, Sister Luciana and Brother Ken, since 2007. She served in São Paulo Center for almost 15 years and now is based in the sub-center of Uberlândia, Minas Gerais, Brazil. I hope I'm spelling it out properly. Sister Juliana says that she's got a keen interest in sharing about Raj Yoga in a way everyone feels they can practice meditation to some extent and connect to the self and to the source. And today's value is all about integrity, called Akhandata in Hindi, as we know that this value actually is a value which not many people are able to live up to. All of us at various times feel, oh, I'm not very integral as much as I am supposed to be. So before I pass it on to Sister Taran for the official welcoming with flowers, as always, a few lines in the form of a poem for both of them. So both Sister Luciana and Juliana shall share their wisdom today on integrity so that we can function right in this otherwise world of disparity, where there's in thought, word, and action traces of impurity and conflicts at every step with people suffering from polarity. God now descends, giving us this inheritance of peace, purity, and prosperity, where otherwise people have to cut down the cost of living due to financial austerity, converting us from the status of ordinary beings into deity celebrity, teaching us through Raj Yoga the skills of flexibility and dexterity. In this otherwise vicious world, which is full of vulgarity, where things have reached their fag end towards extreme severity, God comes and teaches us how to deal with each other with sincerity and lead a harmonious life thereby with utmost purity. So with this, I pass it on to Sister Taran. Over to you. And thank you so much for joining once again, Sister Luciana. Over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Manoj.
And on behalf of Sister Claudia and everyone here, we'd like to welcome Sister Luciana and then Sister Juliana as well, with these beautiful mums. They're already in Canada. Please accept that on our behalf. They're beautiful lilac lavender color that to me represents the bliss that all these virtues and values brings to the soul. Welcome and thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sister Taran. And before we proceed with the formal conversation, a few housekeeping instructions. So we have languages in following six languages: English, German, French, Portuguese, Spanish, and Hindi. Sorry, English is just the routine one. There are 5 other rooms. Please click on the interpretation icon to select the language you want to listen to in. And as always, we'll enjoy the conversation. Let your questions keep coming to me about integrity. And in the meantime, before Sister Juliana joins, so we have Sister Luciana with us, and all over to you. Thank you.
Thank you and very much, Brother Manoj, the whole team of the Values Program that has been going on for so long and benefiting so many people. So congratulations to all of you and all my brothers and sisters who are doing the translation. I have been many times behind the mic also doing translation. So I know that that's a very, very valuable service that you are doing. So thank you so much. And indeed, it's a quite important value that we are going to take up today. It's not the first time that this value is being presented. And I have been thinking about it, and I also had the grace to be talking to Brother Ken, who left 2 days ago to Colombia in South America, about this value, and also extensively talking to Juliana about her views of it. So soon she's going to join me. So as you all heard from Brother Manoj, I have this social background that brought me to Baba and that made me understand the importance of the collectivity, the community service. So when I hear about integrity, the first thing that comes to my mind is the word integrity, that it means whole, complete. So integrity in this sense, it means that makes your personality, makes your character like whole, like towards perfection. So it's just like if you want to progress, if you want to become perfect as a human being, as a social being, you have to contemplate about integrity and you have to develop this value in your life. But also integrity is connected with truth, is connected with honesty, is connected with purity inside, which is also very much connected to this month of August when we are celebrating Raksha Bandhan, and that we value so much to develop and include this aspect of purity in our lives. So I would like just to mention some words, some sociological words that make sense for us to speak about integrity. First, it's just like there is a difference between legal, moral, ethical, and what for us is dharma. So legal is something that is connected with the laws of the country, the laws of the city, the municipality. And in countries like Brazil and many other countries around the world, we have hundreds of laws. So integrity in that sense would be to live according to the law. If you break the law of your country, the law of the land, as it said, it is not considered integrity, because you might be punished, you might be punished financially, you might be punished even going behind bars. So the first aspect connected to integrity is the legal aspect. The second aspect is the moral aspect. Moral or morality is connected to the costumes and to the culture of that place. So moral is not the same all around the world. What is moral in one country might not be moral in another country. We can see, for instance, the difference of the Western countries and the Asian countries, especially, for instance, the Arabic countries. Like, what is moral to us here in the West? A woman can drive a truck on the roads. In Arabic countries, some of the Arabic countries, women are not allowed even to drive. Can you imagine? Even to see a woman driving a bus or a truck would be not manageable. So it means that what is morality in one country, it's different from other country, because morality is to do with the customs, with the culture, with the tradition of that community. And then we have ethical. Ethical is to do with the reflection, the ideas, very much connected with the values of what is good and bad. If we could say in a very simple words the difference between morality and something that it's ethical, we can say that ethics deal about good and evil. So it's more like in the intellectual level, the reflection about what is beneficial and what is evil, what brings benefit to society and what doesn't bring benefit to society. But morality, it's to do with right and wrong. So morality is to do what's right according to the systems and the costumes of that group of people. So when we understand that, we also come to know that according to our spiritual point of view, our Raja Yoga study and knowledge and so on, we can see that there is another level, that it's just like above legal, above moral, and above ethics, which is the Dharma. So according to the Dharma, that we could translate as the universal principles that rule the human race, the universal principles that we can say that would be in accordance to the harmony in the universe, the principles that would be according to the human soul, what is beneficial in terms of our spiritual development. Dharma is very much superior to all this morality and ethical and so on, because Dharma talks about a length of time that it's much wider. It's not just according to the time or according to that year or according to that place or according to that community, but it talks about the humanity, what is beneficial for the whole humanity as souls. So we can see that what we are very much trying to practice is Dharma. So integrity in terms of Dharma is connected to develop that truth inside. And truth is a very broad concept, because first aspect of truth would be, am I being truthful to what I am, a soul, using this body to communicate with the external world? So am I living, thinking, speaking, acting, using all my resources with this truthfulness that makes us think and live in harmony? Because in the world, many people say many things and people promise many things, but sometimes they don't do. What they say is different from what they live. So that creates a break in the integrity. Because integrity, it means to act in a way that you are just one, inside and outside. So if you are divided, it means that you are not creating that self-respect, that holiness that it implicates when we speak in terms of integrity. So this is one of the first aspects that I want to mention in terms of integrity, the meaning of truthfulness, that it's inside integrity. Other meaning I like very much also when I think in terms of integrity, I think about someone being straight. And Brother Manoj mentioned about this crooked world. And many times for people to adapt to the world, for them to be able to live in society, within their families, and so on, they break the principles that are important for them. So it means they are not straight. They try to find a way to mold what is right. It is just like trying to give a form to truthfulness that it's not true straight away. It's just like maybe because of lack of courage, maybe because the person is insecure, maybe because the person doesn't have clarity, so they are not straight in the way of practicing integrity. A third way that I think in terms also integrity is according to the knowledge that we learn here. Because our knowledge says that it's possible for human beings to become perfect. Not everyone believes on that, but Raja Yogis do believe on that. But the other day, someone mentioned to me, this idea to become perfect is quite hard. You know, it seems sometimes that it's going against your capacity. Everyone has to move to some bar. It's just like now we are just seeing the Olympic Games and what they do. It seems so incredible, so beyond our capacity that sometimes people think that perfection is just like an Olympic game. I will never be a golden medal. You see, it's too difficult. But my understanding of perfection is different. It is not a perfection that exists outside of myself, but it is a perfection that I have to reach my maximum standard, my maximum development. So it is just according to my own capacity. I have to develop my full potential, but my potential might be different from your potential. So you also have to develop your full potential. You cannot compare to me, you cannot compare to Daddy Junkie, you cannot compare to Brahma Baba. They have their potential, and my satisfaction, my happiness, my complete satisfaction will be when I develop my full potential. So this is the third aspect, what it means, the integrity in terms of our knowledge of Raja Yoga connected with perfection. And Sister Juliana just joined us, so I'll just finish the fourth aspect that I thought, which is the most basic one, which is in terms of money. Integrity of money means honesty. It means to fulfill your consciousness in terms of what you have and how much you spend in terms of money. And in that sense, that integrity in terms of a financial aspect, it is also not just to spend less than what you have, because many people spend more than what they have, but it's to look after your resources and not have any attitude of envy or even robbery in terms of other people. So it's just like 4 levels of integrity in terms of the knowledge, in terms of our character, our truthfulness inside, in terms of others, to be straight and not to be influenced by others, and also in terms of money. So Sister Juliana just came, so we just welcome her, and maybe she can give her point of view on the topic, and then I'm sure we are going to have a nice conversation.
Shanti, can you hear me well? Yes. So
Yes.
very good to be together with Sister Luciana to share a little about integrity. Yes. So we could meet yesterday to have a pre-chit chat, and during our pre-chit chat, I was mentioning that usually when we have an assignment, we always use Baba to help us with the assignment. And I really noticed especially this point that Sister Luciana mentioned on the character. To me, when it comes to integrity, feel this feeling that Baba is providing us with lots of tools in order to reform my own character and reach my state of purity. Yeah, I think this brings me great happiness, really, to feel this possibility of reaching, as Sister Luciana was mentioning my maximum standard. But it makes all the difference in our lives. So to me, this word integrity brings this idea of purity and also the idea of consistency. Because if you have to fake things, that's going to be hard. Yeah, that's not going to last. But when something is true, then you just live and flow. Things are simple. Yeah, so I really appreciate this consistency that Baba's knowledge brings to our lives. Okay? And then we are in the mood for chit chat. And I was asking Sister Luciana yesterday that she's been coordinating Brazil, the service in Brazil, for so many years, 45 years plus. And Brazil is a continental country. I can see some of you in the picture. Some of you have already visited us. And I'm sure she has lots of stories to tell. And when I was doing research on our Yagya in terms of integrity, first of all, Brahma Baba used to be very famous regarding his integrity, especially towards the 1950s, in which the Yagya went through the beggary party. And then there were some people who were very wealthy and offered some resources to the Yagya, but the source was not really reliable. And because of that, Brahma Baba didn't really accept it. So I'd like to hear from Sister Luciana in her story with the Yagya in Brazil, some stories or some learning points that you've had regarding this area of integrity, which is the way we deal with finances.
Yes, in fact, when we think in terms of integrity, we as BKs, we understand in this most spiritual sense, but in the world outside, when people think about integrity, they think especially in terms of financial terms, right? In terms of honesty. And I do have some stories to share on this, because you know that Brahma Kumaris live on the donation of people. So each cent for us is very valuable. We need these cents because it's how our service operate. But I have two stories to share about it. In fact, three stories that are short stories about this. One story goes many years ago, some 25 years ago. We had one student, he was quite young. He came to Brahma Kumaris with maybe 16 or 17 years old. And one day he had received some inheritance, and he comes and he donates some inheritance to the BKs. It was at that time it was much more money, but if we convert that money in today's money, it was something like $20,000. But at that time, that valued much more. So he gave us the money, and the sister who was in charge of the center told myself and Brother Ken, and we thought that we couldn't receive that money because he was young. He was around 16 or 17. So we felt that he didn't have the maturity to give us that money. So we told him that we couldn't receive the money and gave him back. Next day, next week, when we opened Baba's box, the whole $20,000 was in Baba's box. And we told him, look, you gave us, we are giving you back. He said, no, now you cannot give because it's in Baba's box. You are not sure that it was me who has given to the Yagya. And we said, but we are sure that it was you. So what we did, we called his elder brother, who was also a BK, and we gave him that money to him and said, now you look after the money of your younger brother. In the future, he might use it. So you see, sometimes give a pain in the heart because those $20,000 would be so useful for us, but we can't accept just like that. Another situation that happened, we had a couple. They were from another country in South America, and they were living here in Brazil, and they were working and so on. And then at one point, they decided to go back to the country where they came from. And arriving there, they had a lot of difficulties in getting money, in having a job, and so on. So they wrote to us asking for us to give back all the contributions that they have given while they were living in Brazil. We thought, how are we going to know? Because, like we didn't have, if they put in Baba's box, because nowadays people give through money transference, bank, and so on, and check, and so on. But at that time, people used just to put the money in Baba's box. Nowadays, we don't do that so much. So we told him, how are we going to know how much you have given us? And then he sent a message. We have given this much. So we called Daddy Junkie. And Daddy Junkie said, give them back the money. So we gave them the money back. And another situation, which is bigger, it's very recent, is of 1 month ago. 1 month ago, one student came, brought a bag to Baba's home. And when we opened the bag, there was $100,000 inside of the bag in Brazilian money. So something like 500,000 Brazilian money in dollars. So we opened that bag and we were thinking how this lady came crossing the city with this money and so on. So we called the board of Brazil, and we decided that we called Sister Mohini as well. And we decided that we would just accept the money if she would fill up a formality saying that she was giving that to us. And the reason why she was giving that to us, it was because she received an inheritance. And she refused to write the paper officially giving that donation to us. And she said that the reason why she couldn't do it, it was because the process of division of her parents' property had not finished yet. And she has a brother. So we, the board, decided we couldn't accept the money, because if in the future her Lokic brother would come and complain to us that we accepted the money, and if justice would say you have to give the part of the brother, you know, we couldn't accept. So all these situations that show the integrity that Baba teaches us, and for us, it requires a lot of courage, because this money would be very useful. This money would be spent in a very worthwhile way. And even this money would be very useful for the karma of the people involved. But we have to keep our values valid in terms of integrity. So it's not theory, Juliana, it's real. We have been facing situations exactly like Brahma Baba did. But I have a question for you. Because I think that, like myself, I live in the BK Center for 44 years. I came to live in the center 8 months after I came to know about Brahma Kumaris. But you also are living in the center since many, many years. But you keep your Lokic job. You keep your profession. During all these 30 years that you are with Brahma Kumaris, you have been working in very important schools and colleges as a English teacher. And also because your family live in another city, so you have to visit them. It's different from me because I live, my Lokic family, my father who is 96, my mother who is 91, they live here in São Paulo. So I am here in the BK Center and I go to visit them. But in your case, it's different because they live in another city, so you have to go stay with them. How do you keep your principles? How do you keep your integrity? For instance, when it's the time of the food, how do you do? Or when they come to the sitting room in the evening, watching TV, for instance, with all those violent films and so on. How do you keep your integrity? Share with us.
So let's start with jobs. I've just changed jobs. I am now back to face-to-face. After the pandemic, I was only teaching online. And now I'm having 2 jobs for specific reasons. And then I happened to visit the school. It's a binational center. And they have different projects because I usually work in language schools. So I noticed during the first visit that they have gourmet rooms where they teach cooking lessons for children. So I kind of noticed that I would have to say something towards that during the selection process. So towards the 3rd phase of the selection process, during the interview, I mentioned to them, oh, and by the way, I am a wonderful cook. I've been cooking a lot for the last 30 years. I've learned a lot about cooking, but I only cook vegan recipes. And as I've read the school site, and you are a very inclusive school, I'm sure you provide vegan recipes for teachers if they are to teach cooking lesson for children. And it was funny because yesterday I had an appointment with the coordinator, and he told me that he didn't give me those levels because he was not sure the school would allow a vegan recipe because the recipes, they come ready. And I said, okay, thanks. And then for the future, let them know. And if you want, I can write them a letter because as the school preaches being inclusive, that should be part of the process. Yes, so somehow this has become easy, right? You just mentioned that, and the recent process has been very recent, and they still hired me. Yes, and they even didn't give me the levels I would have to cook because I was very straightforward and clear about my possibilities. Regarding my family, the reason why I changed jobs is exactly because my mother is aging and she needed some interventions. She just went through her first surgery. So I decided to shift. And hopefully I have Baba's home in the city where my family is. So I'm now living in the same city they are. Yes, and today in the evening, it's going to be my shift to take care of my mother. So I usually reach, and they always provide me with because it's been 30 years. So what happened is that when I first became a Brahmin, I would say that maybe I should have been a little bit more gentle with my family, but I was young, I was just 20, and I used to be vegetarian already. I've been a vegetarian, I became vegetarian before Brahma Kumaris. So they always kind of noticed I had different eating habits. And what only changed was that then I was not eating anyone else's food. Yeah. And I started cooking and I didn't tell them, but they noticed because the culture of my family area in Brazil is similar to India. India is very famous for hospitality, and people want to be hospitable. They want to provide you with the best, especially when you are a guest. So somehow I had to stand to my principles in silence, right? They would say things and I would say, oh, thank you very much. And then that's how I dealt. And then one day my mother asked me, but is it true that you eat only what you cook? And I told her, oh, I'm doing an experimentation. And this is what I'm experimenting with at the moment. Yes. And so at first, it's hard for them. I won't lie. Yes, for a mother, it's kind of hard. But if you keep to the same principle for 30 years, then your integrity, I think that it kind of touches people's hearts. So nowadays, whenever I'm involved in the family program, they know that I'm either going to bring my dish, because now I usually cook in Baba's home and I take the food, yes, and then it's going to be another dish for the meal. Or if I cook where they are, I usually cook like right after Murli. They are still sleeping before their breakfast. The kitchen is fresh. I cook and the dish is going to be available for everybody. That's usually how I do it. And it goes without saying. Like whenever I'm involved in the family program, that's how we go. That's what happens.
Yes, something that I just want to mention to Brother Manoj and also the whole audience is that in Brazil, vegetarian diet is not the habit of the population. People here eat a lot of meat. Meat is the basic food of the people. So that's why Juliana is also saying that for her is just like she had to invent ways to make it acceptable. But one thing that it makes the difference of integrity and non-integrity is that there are many cultures that they don't value the cow like they value in India. And the other day I got a message and it was quite informative for me. And I didn't know that. I don't know if all of you know that one of the reasons why the cow is sacred in India, a part of giving milk, a part of being very helpful and so on, it is because the cow is the animal that has the biggest aura from all animals, even from human beings. I didn't know that, which I found that it was very, very interesting to have this understanding. And you see, in some countries, it's not illegal. It's not immoral to raise and to kill and to eat animals. So that's why I said in the beginning that we have to go up and understand about Dharma, about non-violence, because what is integrity? It's the principle of non-violence, that you cannot kill anything, anyone, any living being which has blood and which has soul. So, and Juliana, I read recently Sister Judy Johnson from Halifax came to Brazil, and we gave to everyone a book that Sister Judy has written, and it's a book of stories. And in the book, there is a very nice story about integrity. And the story goes like this. There was a man, he went to a camel fair to buy a camel. So he found this very nice camel, which seemed to be very appropriate, and he made a deal and bought the camel. So when he brought the camel back to his ranch, to his home, and he asked his helper there to remove the saddle of the camel, he noticed that there was a velvet bag underneath the saddle of the camel. And so he took that, opened it, and saw that there were a lot of jewelry inside of that velvet bag. So his helper became very happy and said, "Wow, what a fortune that you got. You are a very fortunate person." And that he answered, "No, I bought the camel. I didn't buy the jewelry. So I must go back to the market and give back to the owner of the jewelry." And the employee said, "Are you crazy? How are you thinking? The owner of the camel, the previous owner of the camel, doesn't know that the jewels are there, so you just keep it." He said, "The owner of the camel doesn't know, but I know. I know, and according to my consciousness, I have to give the jewels back." So he went to the market and met the person who sold him the camel, gave him back, and the person became very happy and said, "Oh, I had forgotten completely that those jewelry were I kept there. So thank you so much, and as a reward for your integrity and your act, I want to give you some jewelry. Please select a jewelry." And he said, "But I already have taken 2 jewels from this." And the owner count all the jewelry and said, "No, all the jewelry is here. You haven't taken anything." He said, "Yes, I did. When I gave you back the jewelry, I took it for me, my integrity and my self-respect." So sometimes, like people think in this unlimited way that to take some money, to take some advantage, and so on. But, they don't remember that it's been written into the eternal fortune of the person. It is just like a line that it's written in the universe that would know everything that you do. So this is one thing. Juliana, I want to know your opinion about something that I was also thinking when I was thinking in terms of integrity. Integrity is a value. Integrity is to do with our wholesome man. It is to do with how much we are acting according to our consciousness. But sometimes some people take it a little bit hard. How much we have to have integrity and be honest and truthful, but how much we have to be flexible sometimes, not with rigidity. So how do you think? What do you think about this?
Well, to me, the best examples will always be the daddies and our seniors. So many scenes, like I remember once I was in London and it was winter, and then the car was packed. We were going from Shakti Bhavan to Global Cooperation House for Murli. And Didi Sudeshi was in the car with us. And then on the way, there was someone. Yes, someone else. And it was so cold. She didn't think. She just said, please stop the car. And she accommodated the person. It doesn't matter if it was a brother, a sister, let's accommodate, it's family. Yes, and let's go to the Murli together. So that's just so natural. And this is the beauty of the process we are going through with Baba, because Baba is polishing our awareness. So I do feel that the more integrity we kind of can gain, to that extent, we are also going to become more natural and flexible. Yes. And even Dari Kumarka, the way that she dealt with everyone, I had the fortune of being able to go to Madhuban and still see Dari operating from her chair in the middle of the entrance of
Courtyard.
Of Madhuban, yes, the courtyard in Madhuban. And it was so lovely. Like it was my very first time in Madhuban. And we queued to take a picture with her. And then she would just, with open-hearted, just naturally, she would embrace everyone. She wouldn't ask, like, who are you? Where are you coming from? No, she would embrace. And we still have those pictures, and they're such fond memories. So I think that she reached to such a level of purity and integrity that this can just fulfill. And we all know that Dari, like when Dari visited Brazil, I know that she has her ways of eating, all this caring, this care about herself, which is needed. Yes, but still, when she's there to give, her field fulfills it. So I feel that we do have to trust all the power that Baba has been offering us. And we have to, like whenever I teach, I like to reach 1 minute at least before and remind myself that this is a job, but I'm here as Baba's instrument because for us, everything we do should be connected to the Yagya and to Baba's service. So I think I try to find ways to make life as happy as it should be, right? And if I am to say, like even those examples, that there are moments you have to really put limits, like I'm gonna cook only vegan food, because if you open that, this is going to, you're going to waste your, I think that the dignity. But on the other hand, like today Papa mentioned about being ever ready, right? Because we never know. So in this being ever ready, to me, I think it has to do with grace, with feeling the pulse and doing the best in each and every situation. I remember once in São Paulo Center, a very young sister, she had just started coming to the Murli, and she came to the center with a cake she had baked. And the sister who got the cake was a very young BK. She was a very young resident in the center. So she was very straightforward, and she told her, oh, we won't eat your cake. and she started crying. I could see there were some tears rolling down her face. And I happened to reach there and I said, oh, we have some people here today visiting, and I'm sure this cake is going to be very important for them. So give me the cake. I'm going to make the best use of it. And then I kind of calmed down her heart, because she's young. She still didn't know much about the principles, right? And she just wanted to share. So how to accommodate and still fit to the principles is always an art. in Baba's yagya, in Baba's home. Yeah.
Yes, I think that you mentioned this virtue of accommodation, which is very, very important to make integrity part of our life in a natural way, and not in a hard way. Because, like you can just live integrity in a flow if your mind is connected to your heart. If your mind is somewhere and your heart is somewhere else, integrity would be hard because you are going to take it as a obligation or as a rule that you have to do it, or Brahma Kumaris say that you have to do it, or the Murli says that you have to do it. But when you understand and you are willing to do it, practicing it, then it comes from your heart. And while you were talking, I remember two instances that very much we can give an example of integrity and flexibility. One is that when we used to go to Madhuban, especially in the beginning, and we had Manohar Dadi with us. Manohar Dadi was the best storyteller that we had in the Yagya. Many of you who met Manohar Dadi would remember that. She would sit hours telling us all the stories about Baba, Mama, the Karachi, and so on. So there was one specific story that made me attentive because it was quite different. And the story was that Brahma Baba used to go to Bombay many times because Bombay was a big center, so he would meet the students. But also because Bombay, Baba would go to the medical doctors and all that kind of thing. So Baba used to go a lot to Bombay. And sometimes one day, Baba, going to Bombay, chose to stay in the home of a BK brother, but this BK brother would not follow all the BK systems. So the people became very, not understanding how Brahma Baba is going to go to the home of this brother and staying there if the brother has some alcohol drinks in his house and he drinks alcohol sometimes and so on. So they went to Brahma Baba and said, Baba, you can't stay in his house because he still drinks alcohol. And I don't know exactly the reason why Brahma Baba, because I'm sure Brahma Baba has taken that decision because of an important reason. But Brahma Baba's answer was, he is more my child than many of you. So just to take it, like understanding that we should not judge people. We should not punish people, or we should not give the number that people are going to be receiving because we don't know the whole story, right? This is one thing. And another thing, we all know how Daddy Janki was very punctual in her life. Daddy Janki was, in fact, the queen of discipline. All of us know about that, right? She was very disciplined. But when she became aged and at the end of her life, she would wake up, she would have Amrit Vela, and because of her health, she would go back to sleep and would just wake up late, where she would be reading the Murli by herself. She didn't have the health anymore, the stamina anymore, the energy to go and conduct the Murli for all the BK family. So normally we would judge, we cannot miss the Murli, we cannot miss the study. But like Daddy was wise. So she knew what was important for her. And at that point, the importance was to rest. And so she would rest, and then afterwards she would read the Murli. I think that these are two examples of, like you have to be disciplined, but you also have to be wise and understand what your body needs, what the situation needs, what the community needs, and sometimes be flexible with that. Juliana, yesterday when we were talking, you said something that it was very nice. If you can expand on that, you said that a very important aspect of integrity is that you have to be with this integrity when no one is seeing you. So can you share on that?
Yeah, we all have this experience in our roaming life, right? Because this point you've just mentioned about being natural, I think that's the only way to really take the most of this so amazing confluence age. But like in my Brahmin life, I went to big centers usually. So I used to have senior sisters around. So it was kind of, first of all, I felt as if like when we bake bread or maybe a cake, it's okay for the cake to be put in a mold, yes, so that it can, until it is firm. And then when it's baked, it's okay. So in the beginning of my Brahmin life, I found it very useful to stick to discipline, to do things the way that they should be done. But there was a moment I found the need to, especially when I was sent to live in another center for the first time. And then I had become the senior sister, because then you are born as a young sister, you are always surrounded by senior sisters, and then time comes when you become the senior in the place. But and even before you sustain others, you have to sustain yourself, you have to be yourself. So then it helped me a lot to notice what I had really absorbed in the depths of my soul and what was really important to me. Because what you've been talking about, being natural, and also this idea that being natural comes from understanding what's deep behind the principle. So in my Brahmin life, I feel that Amrit Vela is one of the best moments of the day. I like Murli time, but Amrit Vela is best time to me. So what I've noticed is that if I don't take care of myself to be good, to feel good at Amrit Vela, it's not that I have to be good and feel awake because I'm doing Amrit Vela in a group of people. No, I want to feel good because it's the time I feel this special connection with Baba, with the soul world, with subtle region, with the advanced party, with the big yagya. I feel that Amrit Vela somehow is a moment that you can tune in to anywhere in our yagya. So to me, it's very important to be fresh. And I've noticed that living on my own for a while in the center. Because when you, and I like to do experimentations. Like there was a time I could only be awake if I drank coffee before. So I started doing some experimentation to get rid of coffee. Coffee would be just later towards the day. And just to start talking to my soul, because I think it's very important for you to notice who you really are. And somehow it's good when you have the chance to be on your own, so that you can really notice what you've really absorbed. Yes. And then as Luciana mentioned, as our country is not vegetarian per culture, some people just usually tell us, oh, you can't eat meat, right? Because you are a vegetarian. And then I joke, if this person is my friend, no. It's my choice not to eat meat, but I can do whatever I want. It's just a principle, it's a choice. So to me, what has helped a lot in being the same inside and outside is just observing, just noticing. And whenever I would feel there is an area for carelessness, because there is a difference in being natural and being careless. And we are all wise enough to notice when we are crossing those lines. Yes, so somehow it's always good to take advantage of what Brahma is presenting us with, just to make the best out of it.
Yes, what you were saying, just I remembered some situation, one class, in fact, with Jagdish Bhai in Madhuban, and Jagdish Bhai said something about integrity, that integrity is when you are alone, but you project in your mind that you are on a stage and there are 5,000 people watching you. So even if you are alone, and integrity, it means to be doing and acting according to what you believe being the right thing, you can have this idea, this projection that the whole world is watching you just in your head. And I thought that it was a good image that Jagdish Bhai came. And I remember also a story with Jagdish Bhai about this, that Brazil is a very social culture and it's a very emotional culture. So people really have a lot of body contact. People embrace, people kiss you when they don't know you. They meet you for the first time and they greet you kissing. So I went to a radio station with Brother Jagdish. First time Brother Jagdish was here, and I was driving him and translating him, everything. And when the interview finished, the lady who was interviewing him liked very much and embraced him and kissed Jagdish Bhai on his cheek. And Jagdish Bhai became purple color, but didn't say a word. So when we came back and we were in the car driving back to the center, both of us quiet. Jagdish Bhai said, "Do you know, Sister Luciana, that has never happened in my life. I was never kissed in my life." And I just made it light, I said, "Brother Jagdish, here is Brazil. Everyone does it. Don't worry, nothing happened." And he said, "But I'm not used to it." I said, so integrity is something like, because he was keeping to his principles, but of course he didn't break his principles, because it was just the moment, another culture, another way of showing love and respect. So, Juliana, I think that last question, and then we open to see if there are some questions of the group who is with us today. I want you to say something about, some people think that if we keep to our integrity, we are not going to reach success in life. Because they think that to be, like a little bit voodoo, a little bit not so intelligent if you keep to your integrity. So maybe you can say something about it, or your experience, or tell us a story about, is it possible to have integrity and in this crooked world still be successful? I mean, I think that it's possible, of course. Otherwise, I would not be a Brahma Kumari. But I want you to explore a little bit about it.
I'm going to open my own experience. I came to the Yagya at the age of 20. I had just majored I majored in journalism, and I made the decision to become a teacher as a profession, because I noticed it would be better to live in the center and to be a teacher instead of a journalist. That's what I thought. And somehow I'm going to tell my own experience, but one word came to me from a recent talk to Didi Asha in Delhi. one sister who is kind of who has a manager role at her job, she asked Asha Didi about the fact that we work a lot, in the fact that somehow we need to strike a balance, and it takes effort to keep balance in both sides, right? To both sides. And Asha Didi, she said something that touched me deeply. She said, if in Brazil, even if you live in the center, you have to work, so that's Shirimet for you. And what we do with Shirimet is that we follow, because we know there is benefit in that. Yeah. So I came as a professional, and I used to be very knowledgeable in terms of education and teaching, because by the time I met Baba, I used to teach for kind of almost 10 years. I started teaching at a very young age. And then I used to go to São Paulo on vacation and holidays, and I used to stay in Shakti Bhavan and just to see how the center life is. And then there would be a Raja Yoga teacher meeting that day. And then I kind of asked, oh, how come they're not inviting me, right? I could help into teaching and something. But then these things, they are so nice because they teach us how Baba operates. And during my life, I've noticed that communicating and speaking have never been something difficult to me. But I've noticed, like, knowing some BK sisters that have been with Baba at the same time I've had, that being knowledgeable and smart is not always what we need to make good progress. And I've noticed that some sisters, they came in, they could barely speak. I remember a sister, a friend, a BK friend, the very first course she would give, she finished the course in 5 minutes, the first lesson. And then she told, but she was so naive and she was doing it from such a space of truth that the person who was on the course kind of understood, and they did a meditation for longer, and the person kept the course. It was a one-to-one class then. And this very same sister today, from what she started with Baba, what she has become, she has made so much progress. Yes. So I feel that what is the connection between this experience and what Sister Luciana mentioned? Because in the world, sometimes we feel we need external things or some skills to be successful. But if you give everything you have to Baba, he's bound to make the best of it. And that's the biggest fortune, because this is going to be with you throughout your life. And these are the things that really keeps us, right? And even if you think about Brahma Baba as a jeweler, he was known for being very truthful and reliable in the people, the kings that used to negotiate with him. They would always know his principles and still really appreciate what he was. So in the short run, we might feel we lost something. But in the long run, there is always gain in keeping the truth, right? Even the other day, because in the center, we learn a lot. Every time there is learning into practical things. We were holding an event last Thursday. It was a holiday, and there was tea, and a sister who was like newer as a volunteer and as a helper, one mug broke. And she said, what should I do? I said, oh, if it's broken, we are going to dispose of it, right? We are going to throw it away. Let's just tell the people who is in charge so that he or she knows one mug is less. But that's okay, that's fine. So I think that it has to be being accountable. And even when we are alone, right? Because some of the resources that we use, they are brought to the center, not to myself. So how to use it in a natural way, but how to provide so that all the family can benefit from everything. And I also feel fulfilled about it. I think Mama has been a great example about it. She would always use all the resources to the well-being. And that's what we feel when we are hosted by the Yagya everywhere we go. So I think that when we keep the principles we learned, sometimes it might be harder, sometimes we might have questions, but if you really talk to yourself and wait, in the long run, it always pays. Yes, and whenever we kind of go, we try to find. There has been an incident in which I decided to go in a different direction, and somehow that has become a learning lesson, which is something I wouldn't like to repeat. Yes.
Yes, one just I think something maybe to conclude before receiving the questions. I feel that integrity gives us a lot of strength, a lot of power internally, because it is just like it's an accumulation of kind of a fortune, a spiritual fortune. So it's just like creating that capacity to face various situations in life. And I remember situations where I broke the principles, I mean, in terms of integrity, in terms of perfection, let us say, not that I broke the principles, but, I haven't done exactly how I was supposed to do. But I always said to myself, I did this according to my capacity in the moment. I did this according to my understanding of the moment. I did this according to my limit of the moment. Why I'm saying this? Because, I think that one of the problems in the progress of spirituality is that many people create a feeling of guilt. And I think that guilt is one of the lowest vibrations that we have. Even there is a study done by a professor of United States called Hawkins, and it's beautiful, the charter that he created about the emotions and the vibrations that all the emotions have. So he put enlightenment as the highest vibration of emotions. Then he puts peace as the second. Then he puts love as the third. And then it goes. But on the lowest vibration, he puts guilt and shame. So I am very careful that, while living my spiritual life, even if I don't do something correct, perfectly, the best way, the way that Baba would like me to do it, I always pay attention that I don't create any guilt feeling, because that would not help me to progress, that would not help me to change, that would not help me to take the power of God to overcome what I have done wrong. So this I find quite important. And Brother Manoj, we have still some minutes. Should we answer some questions? If some people, I'm not seeing the chat, there is no questions. So if you can advise us what to do.
So thank you so much. I have been sent a few questions by participants. I'll ask them. So it was good that this integrity is basically a big bundle of many values which you all have discussed. That truthfulness, honesty, harmony, consistency. So one question is, if you look at harmony, thought, word, and action, and integrity, is there any difference between harmony and integrity, or are they the two sides of the same coin?
I think that there is some differences because harmony can be used in many ways. You can say, for instance, that you are in harmony with nature. So you will not say I am in integrity with nature, and it's harmony with nature because like whatever you are doing, the way that you care, you respect nature. So and also you feel so comfortable, you feel so relax in nature. So I think that that's one aspect of harmony. But if you take harmony to integrity, I think that it's the harmony between your head and your heart, in between what you think and what you speak and you do. So it's I think that harmony in this sense, which is a good word, is that there is an alignment. When you have this alignment with what God teaches and how you act and how you think and how you use your resources, your resource of time, your resource of knowledge, your resource of money. So it's this alignment with everything. Then you could say that it's a harmony, and we could say integrity. Juliana, is there any other thing that you want to say about it?
Yeah, I was just experimenting with the feeling integrity brings to the soul. And I would definitely say that when you are aligned, you feel at peace, you feel in harmony. And nowadays, like in each and every situation, this idea of being ever ready, what I really aim in terms of application of Baba's principles is to feel that everything has passed. It's really dot. And you are ready to go to Baba, ready to for the next thing. So I feel that the more you feel at alignment, the more you are in harmony. It's kind of natural. Yes. And I think that on the other hand, we should keep an eye if there is a lack of harmony, if we feel somehow a burden, we should really look into that and take some care. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, hang on, Mira. So the next question is, you spoke about, Sister Luciana, you spoke about being straight, maybe straightforward, honest. The question is very interesting, that what is the difference between being straight and being tactful?
I think that you can be straight and tactful. Straight, it means that you should not lose the goal. You should not go to the small roads in between. If you know, like straight, it means to have concentration. Straight, it means to have focus. It means that you do not lose your time, your attention in things which are not important or unnecessary. But at the same time, when people are in your way, you have to be tactful. I can give you an example. Recently, I did a research about gossip. And it was a situation that I was noticing that it's very common people to enjoy to gossip. So in my investigation, I saw that people take a lot of pleasure and a lot of power being the one who knows everything about everyone. And so there were many methods on how to avoid gossip. And one of the methods is just like to be tactful, but let us say to bring the person to listen to the qualities of that person that he or she is gossiping. So you are tactful because you are not cutting the person, you are not being just straight, but you are saying, yes, that person might have this problem, but see how this person is also like this. So you just take that opportunity to be tactful. Or, for instance, I can give you an example. I used to go very often to Switzerland, to Geneva, because I represented Brahma Kumaris in some UN programs in Geneva. And my father had a friend in Geneva, so he once gave me a box of cigar, like to smoke, and asked me to take to his friend in Geneva. And I tactfully told him, Father, I don't support this habit of smoking, so I can't take him this box of cigars, but I can take him any other thing you want. I can take him a box of chocolate. So please prepare a box of chocolate and I take to him. So you see, when I was faithful to my principle, I didn't take the cigars, but I gave him an alternative, being tactful. And I didn't also say, cigar, no, this is evil thing. No, I didn't say. I just said it's not according to what I believe, but I can take some other things. So I do believe that you can be straight and still be tactful. Yes, it's possible.
Yeah, so thank you. I will ask Sister Juliana another question because, in the interest of time, so that we can cover more questions. So, the next question to you, Sister Juliana, that at workplace, we face a lot of people who are not integral in the sense their thought, word, action is absolutely bizarre. And it irritates me. I get upset because of their behavior. So, is that justified?
You mean, is your behavior justified or their behavior? Whose behavior?
My behavior of being upset with them, is that justified?
Yeah. When I first started being a facilitator at Brahma Kumaris, I taught first the positive thinking course, and I still remember a very simple story that was told. One boy was really upset with the other who did something wrong. And the boy's father noticed that, and he gave him a full bucket of coal. Yes, that's very blackish. And he said, just let it go. Whatever you feel for that person, whatever wrong the person did, how many pieces of coal you want at that person. And then the father allowed him to do it. And towards the end, the father got a mirror and showed him what had happened. He represented his friend with a t-shirt that was hanging on a line on a cord, right, for hanging clothes. And that t-shirt was barely dirty, but the boy, he was really, really bad. So I'm really with you. I feel that we have to be very tactful at work, and we have to protect ourselves, right? So I also try to be straight and tactful. Like the other day, someone asked me something that was out of purpose. But I said, if I go and become upset and reply, that's going to be nonsense. So I waited for 3 days, and then I told the person, you had asked me to do it. I followed your guidance, and I was able to reach to this point. And I think that's been fair enough. So I'm giving it back to you. Okay, so now you take over. So instead of just doing it, and I also feel, Manoj, that depending on the place, if you really have to focus on you, why are you becoming so upset? Like, if something upsets me, is that really on me? And then I have to do the work? Or is it a place in which I shouldn't be? Because I always remember Daddy, when there was that plane crash, when people died and they had to eat from the corpses, someone asked Daddy, would you do that if you felt hungry? Like if that happened, what would you do, Daddy? Would you have eaten it? And Daddy said, you know what? Daddy knows it's not her karma. So I think that we should always look at us and really feel the dignity that Baba is really filling us with. So it's for our dignity that we make some choices, first of all. And sometimes I feel that some places, they are not in alignment with our dignity. So whenever I look for a job, I choose the job. I don't allow the job to choose me. I always choose the jobs I decide to do. Because some places, they just don't match. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And I'll ask the last question because it's a Because it was started by you, Sister Lucy, and you mentioned about the cow's aura. So someone is saying, how can I increase my aura and become like get it like a cow? Increasing aura.
Well, according to this article that I read, it's not possible for human beings to have the same length of the aura of the cow. But you see, the frequency that creates your aura are the frequencies of good feelings and good vibrations. I can tell you three very good qualities that increase your aura. First, gratitude. As much more you have gratitude towards life, towards your fortune, towards the people around you, towards how much you received from God, how much you are lucky because you have spiritual knowledge, you have spiritual life, light. So, gratitude. Second is benevolence. As much more you develop this feeling of benevolence towards people who harm you, people who say bad things towards you, people who are like an enemy, or because they have jealousy of you or envy of you. And just like God, why God is called Shiva? Because he's benevolent. He just gives to whoever comes, to whatever is the condition of the person who comes to him. And third quality is compassion, just to put yourself in the place of the other. We have an expression that says to put yourself in the shoes of the other. So to have compassion for the fact that someone is not so intelligent, to have compassion because of the disease or sickness of someone, to have compassion for the situation of bad karma of someone. So I think that all the spiritual virtues, they increase of our aura. But nowadays, I'm especially working with gratitude, but also this compassion and benevolence are two attitudes that raise up our frequency. So it's very important. And I was studying something about frequency, and it says that if your frequency is underneath the frequency of the earth, you become sick. All the sicknesses are attracted to you. But if you vibrate higher than the hertz, than the frequency of the earth, then you avoid to become sick. So I was just thinking that in golden age, for instance, why people don't become sick? Why they are always healthy? Because their vibration will be always on the top.
Right, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm afraid, in the interest of time, we can't take any more questions. We've actually exhausted our time limit, but it was wonderful listening to both of you. And also, all the participants, before I give it to Dr. Ashok Mehta to propose the vote of thanks, Sister Juliana really needs to leave the place where she's joining from. She's at the school. So thank you so much for your company. And I know you have to leave, so we're finishing that. So you can please carry on with your commitments. And I would now request Dr. Ashok Mehta to please propose the vote of thanks. Over to you.
First, let me say thank you, Sister Juliana, because she's going to leave fast. But we enjoyed the dialogue on integrity. I think the best part I liked on the whole was the stories that we heard. I think stories bring more, specific value very close to your heart, and you remember it for a longer period of time. We hear so many things, so they remain for a short time and then they disappear. But those which we hear by way of stories, we will always remember. Like Sister Luciana telling the story of somebody giving a donation of $20,000, and then he did not want to take it back, and still they, sisters returning that money. So much of love and compassion. I think but looking at his needs rather than our needs. Our needs can always be met, but his needs may be more because he was a young man. Similarly, I think the large inheritance somebody wanted to give, but you didn't accept because you thought that probably somebody might have the share of another family member. So I think that kind of integrity is drives you, you remember it for a long time. And I think something that you said last was also very interesting, that the gratitude, the benevolence, and the compassion, they can change your aura and bring you to higher vibration. And we think of our golden era, or Satyug. I think that's very interesting to listen, Sister Luciana, that how we can change our vibrations. And so overall, I think this was a very interesting dialogue. And more than that, I think I like the story of Jagdish Bhai getting embarrassed by somebody kissing him. I think this happens to many of us when we come first time to West and somebody takes you in the arms and kiss you, and you are not used to it. This has happened to me too at some point of time when I was traveling. So I think that's very interesting, that way of showing love and respect in the West is slightly different than in our country. So I think that was. I like the word that you used, Dadi Janki, the queen of discipline. I think she was always, but I think the queen of discipline, she was in England, so I think the queen is the right title for her. I think it's very interesting. I've seen Dadi at being in so much of pain at times, and then next day she will be again back to her normal routine. I think everything, the legal, ethical, and moral, I think all those areas you covered very well. Thank you very much. I think the integrity, the concepts of integrity are different in different parts of the world. For example, in India, I think when you work with, say, for example, you want to work with a government or a corporation, municipal corporations, anything that you want to do, you have to pay something to get it done. Sometimes it hurts, but whether you like it or you don't like it, your papers won't move. And that time we also feel that our integrity is often being challenged by local circumstances. So I think you've got a tremendous depth of understanding on integrity in all aspects. Thank you very much. We really enjoyed. And once again, thank both of you, Sister Luciana and Sister Juliana. I liked the voice of Sister Luciana. She speaks more like an Indian in English. I think that's very good. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Luciana.
So thank you so much, Dr. Mehta. And reminding you of kisses, I remember my visit in Brazil in 2016. I distinctly remember this because the people who were there, they were asking for permission. They said, "Oh, can we kiss you?" Because they know we are coming from a very Eastern background. And I remember they were asking that, "Can we kiss you? Is it okay if you all don't mind?" Something like that. I remember this very well. Yeah, so I will just now request... today I have to do that job because Sister isn't around, Sister Anu. I'll just share the screen, quickly do the announcements. And in the meanwhile, just be ready to get the photograph clicked. Will be Sister Garima who will be doing that. So all of you can just open your video cameras in the meantime. So as always, we have our next workshop on integrity. Again, the same topic in a week from now. And we'll be having the experiential exercises first half, followed by again another talk. And we have two very senior Raj Yogis, very closely related to the United Nations association, which we have of the Brahma Kumaris. So Brother Golo from Gyan Sarovar, Mount Abu in India, and Sister Sonia Olsen who represents the BKs in Denmark. on next Saturday, 24th of August. And as always, we end this month. Sister Luciana was mentioning about this August month, which is such a traditional month for Raksha Bandhan, which holds a very important significance at Brahma Kumaris. And also we have our dear Dadi, who on this very day of Sunday, 25th of August, 2024, you heard a little bit of story from Sister Juliana, mentioning about Dadi Kumarka, sorry. That's Dadi Prakashmani. She had these two names. So we'll be ending with the silence retreat on the value of accommodation, which we had covered before integrity. That will be Sunday, 25th August, India time morning, and Saturday, late evening times for West Coast, US and Canada. I'll just stop sharing the screen. And with this, I would request all of you all to please open your video cameras. Sister Garima, if you can quickly take the photograph. And thank you all of you all. And let's be ready for the meditation as well. It will be good if you all can keep your video cams on and take this powerful drishti from Sister Luciana as we slip into the meditation soon. And will it be a commentary or just a drishti? Whatever you feel is comfortable. Over to
So we
Sister
can
Luciana.
just sit in silence, in the remembrance of who we really are. And I think that the easiest way to absorb this value of integrity is to go back to our original form. So we just go back to whom we really are, the peaceful soul, the being of light, the consciousness, the pure consciousness that we are, very similar to the divine being, divine soul. So we just merge in this experience of being light, of being peaceful, of being loveful and completely pure. And just stay in silence for one moment to absorb this original self. Om Shanti, divine souls. Thank you so much